Hello, Leo, and welcome to your October forecast. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and we're going to take a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks to see what opportunities are coming through. You can always use this for your Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus, and if you'd like to see the present month, you can always go to my main channel page, and you can find more information there. Okay, let's get into the channeled messages. This is basically my way of connecting to Source through meditation, dreams, and also signs and signals that I see in everyday life. There were two things that came through today for Leo, and one was a dragonfly, one of my favorite totems, and the other one was a waiting room. So without any further delay, let's talk about the dragonfly. A lot of times we'll focus on moths or butterflies, and they're wonderful transformational beings, or I should say insects, but so is the dragonfly. And one thing that it has over those two examples is its ability to go from water to air. So this is representative for many of you of an emotional shift. For some of you, it could be overcoming grief or difficulty. For some of you, it could be expansion, like the heart space growing and something really good happening. And it could also just be a change of heart or a change of mind. You were here a couple of months ago and suddenly you feel pulled in a new direction. This is why I featured a card from the deck that we'll be using today here, Lightseer's deck, where the Six of Swords, we see the two sets of birds pulling her in different directions. And the choice in this card, and I think the choice for your sign today is, are we going to focus more on the forward momentum, or is there some unfinished business that needs to be dealt with first? The cards will reveal that in a few moments. Either way, you're going to rise up. And whenever I see this totem, whether it's in dreams or everyday life like I did yesterday, it's auspicious. I love seeing hummingbirds, butterflies, moths, and as well with dragonflies. Dragonflies, though, to me, work a lot faster, and I love the way they kind of dart around. A butterfly and a moth are gentle. The dragonfly has sort of this speed, and I would also say this ability to kind of like on a dime, turn on a dime, and I like that. So I think this month for you, the pivoting, the shifting, the moving can happen so much faster if you ease into it and see what the universe has to offer. The next thing that I was focusing on in dreams and meditation was this feeling of waiting. And of course, this would be connected to the Hanged Man, but this was an empowered moment for you because the question, I think the only thing that we really need to take away from this waiting room was the third bullet, which is, am I done with this? So the previous slide was talking about being torn between like the past and the future. And this is the question that's going to help you release whatever is in the past. So when you say, am I done with this? This can represent a relationship, a job, a place that you're living, an emotional attachment to someone or something. And you can think, am I still learning? Am I still growing? Is the other thing that I'm connected to, is there a return on the energy that I'm putting into this relationship, this job, this exercise, or is it just one way? So you're being asked to pause and consider something before moving forward so that you can then be empowered in that movement, knowing that, yes, I want to stick around and I want to learn more, or no, I'm ready to get on the boat that we saw just a moment ago and see what else is on the horizon, okay? This is a perfect segue to take a look and see what the cards have to say, again, for this next 6 to 8 week period. As always, you can use this for Sun, Rising, and Moon. Let's get started, Leo. So good to see you here. Two very, very connected cards that wanted to be there. All right, let's get started here with the beautiful Catalyst card here. And the title on this one is False Indigo, Baptista australis. This particular plant was used as a substitute for a more expensive one for dyeing things, for coloring things. And because we have the false piece here, it's saying, look beyond the surface. Things are not always what they seem. So this is really about discernment and intuition, because it says immersion and intuition. And of course, indigo connecting us to our higher self, to our sort of clairvoyance here. So trusting your heart and soul and looking beyond what other people are saying or expecting and saying, you know what, I think there's a little bit more to this. Or if someone doesn't come across as what they truly are, trust that, because there could be a false indigo sort of energy around you as well. The caption at the bottom says, when you reach the end of what you should know, it'll be the beginning of what you should sense. And this is basically saying that knowledge can only get us so far. There does come a point where we have to trust our gut, our instinct, our heart, our soul. This may be a month where that is more important than you might imagine. Let's tune in now to the Celtic Cross, specifically the centermost card. It's all about balance this month, folks. The Two of Pentacles. Many of you have a choice in front of you. It may not be a black and white choice. There's a lot of shades of gray, and it's sort of like, I don't know whether to choose this or this because they both have trade-offs. So one thing that this card can represent is needing to tune in and again, go beneath the surface and say, they may seem equal, but this one is more of a pull for me. Okay, so that's one interpretation here. This is also about work and life, making sure that they are balanced. So work-life balance. Are you spending too much energy putting your time and effort into school or work or extracurricular and not enough in your core relationships, or even just resting and taking care of yourself? Expenditure across the board. Now we can look at our money and our time. Are you committing to too many things? Are you spending so much that that rubber band is going to snap? If you are, this is about pulling it back a little bit and saying, this is more important. I'm going to focus on that. I always like to remind folks that these can represent like an egg or a seed. And when you put your energy behind one, you can actually see it grow faster. That other thing can be put to the side, delegated, or simply you just say no, and that frees up your energy to see that sort of other thing grow almost at the speed of Jack and the Beanstalk. You'll start to feel more energy yourself, and you'll start to see more progress. And that's across the board a good thing. Crossing this, we have a major upgrade. So once you figure out this balance issue, then we have something coming through that's a magnitude of 5 better here. We have the Ten of Pentacles. So this is so nice. This is an upgrade when it comes to your finances or your opportunities. For some of you, it can represent a new contract. Maybe you're getting more serious in a relationship. It could be expansion of your family. This is why you're being asked to make a choice toward the beginning of the month so that you can really lean into this and see this go even further, farther, faster, okay? This is such a nice card no matter what you're looking for in your life, whether it's expansion in your career, new opportunities, or new love. We'll look at this more as we go across the Celtic Cross. But first things first, let's see what your deep past message is. You received the Nine of Wands. This is a card of perseverance, of working really, really hard, not giving up, and basically your ability to see it through when other people may not have the wherewithal is what's going to make you successful in this moment in time. So many of you have learned the importance of doing just that. However, this can be a card where sometimes you push yourself just a little too far. What we have to remind ourselves of is that we are much like a battery where we need time to sleep and rest and eat and exercise. And if we continue to push ourselves as if we were a machine, then there are certain areas of vulnerability that are going to kick in. In this one, it typically hits in the crown chakra. So what happens is not so much a lack of concentration. That's more the Seven of Cups. What happens with this can be like a migraine or focusing so much on something that you create a mental block. Have you ever had too much caffeine and it doesn't actually help you? You just are focusing really fast and not really doing anything about it. So this can be running yourself to that point where it's like, very late in the evening or in the morning. You're no longer productive. At this point, remember to rest. Remember to give yourself that chance to rejuvenate so that this torch that we see here can light back up. So you need to basically learn the lesson of the center card there, which is balancing resources. And sometimes, as I'm looking at this now, it's all coming together. The 10 of Pentacles can represent your coworkers and also your close family members that are tugging you in different directions, possibly at the same time. This can also be you standing up for what matters and saying, I can only do this much. Let me attend to this and then I'll help you out. So you're going to be asked to have strong boundaries. She's not at this fence accidentally or coincidentally. So ultimately, though, this card can set out or finish rather whatever it sets out to do, and we can see that determination in her eyes. So lean into that historical understanding of what's important. In the recent past, we have the 9 of Cups. This card in the reverse state can represent emotions playing a sort of destabilizing sort of role this month. On the plus side, it could just be very, very good news, and it takes you out of your concentration or focus. So you got 2 9s. This one is working really, really hard. This one is feeling a lot. And so maybe looks like the inner child is coming out and saying, don't forget about me. Let's have some fun. Let's rest. I'm tired. I don't wanna. You know, little kids when they say, I don't wanna do that. So there might be a part of you that needs to honor the inner child and say, I understand. Let's work on this. And then let's have a fun day. Let's take some time off. Because in that playtime, in that rest time, a lot of times you can work through some of the challenges, the blocks, and the problems that you might be experiencing. There may be accentuated highs, accentuated lows. Kind of remind yourself in this period that these are not sort of indicative of the overall trend. Most of the time we spend kind of like rising up to that euphoric high or coming down off of that and adjusting to something different. And it's sort of like spending the time in the in-between. We can appreciate that there are going to be those high and low moments, but we're going to be okay. 80% of the time we're in between them. So focus on sustaining your balance. Lean on the people around you that always have your back and can support you in challenging times. And know that at the end of the day, you've got this. This is a card of success. You will push through it. And this is saying celebrate the success when it happens. I love what I see up here. First of all, you're coming through here in the near future, but I love that we have the 4 of Wands preceding that. In this moment in time, many of you have already set the stage for a very favorable partnership. This can be a new friend, a business partner, or love. The 4 of Wands is the kind of relationship that has the foundation, the potential, the wherewithal to stick around and last. This is great. If you're looking for some sort of a networking opportunity for a new job, again, for something in the areas of love or companionship, this is the month to do it. Keep working on yourself. Keep firming up the foundations in your life that we had already talked about. Work-life balance, not trying to be everything to everybody, not trying to be everywhere at once, finishing what you set out to finish and not letting your emotions sort of get the better of you. All of these things are going to create a very solid person, which will then in turn bring in someone else who has done the exact same work on themselves, okay? Even if you are just single and happy and focusing on, again, those connections, they're stronger now than they've ever been. So you could bring in like best friend energy, which is great. Let's take a look now at the near future. We have the Strength card in reverse. Basically, this is saying it's time to take care of yourself. If you're feeling fatigue, be it emotional, spiritual, mental, anything of that nature, this card is asking you to slow down and take care of yourself. So getting adequate sleep, eating well, making sure that everything in your life is bringing you a sense of sustainability. That's key. And that you're not, again, taking that battery and depleting it. This can also indicate a person around you, possibly a boss or parental figure, authority figure for sure. This can be someone who just wants to always tell you what to do or has a difficult time letting you be your own person, make your own mistakes, make your own positive moves as well, because until we trust somebody to be the best version of themselves, it's very hard for them to do that. So if there are any codependencies in your life, or if there is anyone that is just a little controlling, this is a time to take a step back and reevaluate that. We talked about the waiting room earlier. This could be one of the relationships to sit within that liminal space and think, what am I getting out of this? Do I still want to be here? As an indication of yourself, it's about reclamation of power. You have what it takes. We saw it here in the deep past. But there may be this illusion that you need someone else or you want their approval when, again, it kind of is more about you. I love the combination in this card of divine masculine and feminine. So it's saying you don't have to conform to expectations, outdated expectations, particularly when it comes to life or career path or anything of that nature. So this is just going into authentic expression of self. And again, if someone else has a hard time with it, that's on them. You don't have to prove, and you don't have to make them agree with you on any sort of thing. So this is no longer about kind of opening the mouth of someone or controlling them. It's just saying, take me or leave me. And that's a great way to leave that card. To that end, here we come again. You're coming through multiple times. So I feel like that's the lesson. And then if you can learn that, then we have the King of Wands. And again, a beautiful lion in the background. So this is what it's all about this month, is leading the charge, not feeling like you have to have that tug of war and prove yourself, and basically move in a direction that feels right for you. If we take the extra one that the king has and add it to the 9 of Wands, we have 10 of Wands here. So you will see it through, whatever it is, whatever you're trying to accomplish this month. And you can do it on your own. The King of Wands is self-sufficient. He will make it happen. He'll lead by example. We can see some gray hairs in this particular king's beard. So for many of you, you've been around the block a couple of times and dealt with things, and you're wiser for the experience. On my weekend collective that I just did, there was a quote from Helen Keller, which was, I'm going to paraphrase it, but basically a lot of times we learn from difficulties. It gives us context, and we don't have to keep making those same mistakes. And that's the big sort of benefit that you have this month, is as long as you've learned from the past, as long as you are ready and willing to take a different direction in the future, then your leadership skills are kind of off the chart right now, okay? So you're exactly who you need to get the job done. Lean on yourself, trust yourself, and see, just what you might be able to accomplish. You might surprise yourself. When I look in the environment here, we have the 4 of Swords. It's a kind of sleepy energy to be around you. There could be people that are simply not showing up, communicating, or kind of giving you what you need. So in a relationship, this can be frustrating because it's sort of like, where do I stand, right? In a job, you could be bored. In other parts of your life, you could just feel, this is the waiting room as well. You could just feel like, what's next? Well, one thing that I love about this, and it makes so much sense, we just came through the difficulty of the 3 of Swords, and this person has mended their heart. And the benefit of waiting just an extra half step is that as we look here at hopes, fears, and opportunities, you're not going to repeat something that's happened in the past. The figure on this card, she's been there, she's done that. She knows how the story ends, and she can sense trouble a mile away. I love that she is taking the high road. She's saying, you know what, I don't have to meet you on a lower level and argue with you. I don't have to get my feelings hurt because you said something that maybe is insensitive. I also don't have to prove myself by overworking, by not taking care of myself, because the 10 of Swords can sometimes be basically burning the candle at both ends. She's learned to have boundaries. She's learned to read the signs. And these crows or ravens that are cawing in the background, she's like, make all this sort of noise and trouble that you want. It's not going to bother me. So this month, you're going to rest. You're going to use your leadership and your wisdom from the past and say, not only can I avoid the misstep, but I'm going to basically create and establish a new balance in my life. And I'm going to have more than enough because of that. So I love that there's a beautiful kind of character arc, if you will, from the center to the final card, the 2 cards of balance. So this one, we usually see a person trying to get their balance. By the time they've come to the 6 of Pentacles, they've already figured it out. The typical illustration, I'll look in this deck as we're talking, would have a person holding the scales. And basically, they get to decide, they are discerning, and they think, is it serving my higher interest? Is it worth the trade-off? And they can say no. So your big opportunity this month, lesson-wise, is also to know when and how to say no. And I know it's just a single word, but it takes a little bit sometimes to get it there. I just want you to see the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith cards for these. So you can see a person here who's very pensive, very sort of on the fence, and we see someone here who knows what it takes. They're doling out exactly what they can afford, and they're keeping what they need to take care of themselves. Self-care in the energy, in the money, in the other sort of contributions in their life. They know exactly what they can give and what they need to save, okay? So don't be afraid to say no. There's always going to be hands outstretched in the world asking for a little bit more, okay? Overall, though, we see the ability here to be stronger, to avoid fatigue, to achieve balance, to also see people that appreciate this newfound leadership and ability to say no, because strong leaders can do that. And if somebody comes through and promises you the sun and the moon, you're going to be able to see through that and walk away and avoid that misstep. Let's go ahead now and expand this forecast to look a little deeper in the areas of health, wealth, love, and destiny. Starting off with health, again, I'm reading energy. So looking at the energy of health, we have an ally in disguise. So this is a nice foil or alternate version of this. So there may be someone in your midst that is not what they appear. There may also be someone who's far more than that. So we see the need this month for you to rely on your heart, your intuition, and these two things are going to point you in the right direction. If you're feeling a little lost, if you're feeling a little confused, this also nicely connects with what's going on in the crowning position, the bestie energy, if you will, the best friend, the Four of Wands. It's reverse, which means the timing, the placement, the location of this new potential ally could be unexpected. It could also be exactly when you need someone to come through. And that's always been, to me, the most heartening thing. So if you're in your darkest moment, your most challenging sort of area of your life, and then all of a sudden someone comes and says, I got you, let me help you out. Isn't it amazing? There's a potential this month to tap into someone who can help you out. It could be someone in your family. It could be a close friend. It could be a teacher or mentor. They may have a lot to say if it's a teacher or mentor. The main thing here is not to feel defeated, to look around and know that there could be someone there that could assist. Also, you're your own best friend too, so never underestimate your ability to kind of help yourself out here. Discover the hard-to-find blessing. That is the piece that's also important to this, and that kind of goes back to what I was talking about from the Weekend Collective, where I mentioned that, all experiences, including setbacks, they provide a contextual landscape that help us understand and appreciate when things are going well. So even when something doesn't work out the first time, when it finally does, it's all the sweeter, right? So anyway, a lot to unpack with that, but the main thing here is you don't have to do this alone. And I see that here. Friends and family are coming through. There may be this desire to prove that you can do it all, especially with this, but lean on that network or reach out. You can also be the one that's asking. So when we look at the Six of Pentacles, sometimes you're the one requesting assistance, not just the one that's providing it. So if you need it, ask. Because the fact that this shows up tells me that there's been many times where others have asked you. And what a lovely way for them to be able to come back and repay and show appreciation, than for you to just sort of ask and say, hey, I could really use your help on this. Would you mind? For those who refuse to help out or just fall short of your expectations, this may be the false indigo that we saw earlier. And this is a great way for you to discern between your real friends and maybe the fair weather friends, okay? Now, looking just at the general energy of health, one thing that I love is the empowered Ten of Swords. This is, again, knowing how far to push yourself, where to step away from things, and this is showing you that you can make some cyclical shifts. It's attached to two important cards, so again, saying no and getting rest. These two things can help you avoid a traditional Ten of Swords. Then the other thing here we looked at before was just taking a little bit more focus or giving a little bit more focus to your physical health. So for some of you, this might mean taking on a new exercise routine in your life that feels right for you. It can even be strength training. And there's a lot of different ways to go about that. Obviously, lean on the professionals in your life that you trust for that. What else is coming through? Just heightened sensitivity. It doesn't necessarily have to be depression, but sometimes the Nine of Cups in reverse can be feeling a lot because you're around so many people, and we see that here. So remember to take some time for rest, for meditation and self-care so that you can basically separate their energy from yours. And when you're empathic and highly sensitive, this is even, I would say, doubly as important for you, okay? Other than that, it's a really good month. There's one last thing that I want to cover, and then we're going to move on to wealth. And we just did get a lot of balance cards here. The 2 of Pentacles and the 6 of Pentacles, both are cards that either explicitly include scales or show a person trying to accomplish or achieve balance in their life. So aside from the work-life balance or the scheduling balance, this could also be inner ear or just watching where you're walking. So if any of those things are going on, like if you're having issues staying balanced, obviously that's something where you'll seek additional advice for that. But for most of us, I think it's going to be just simply making sure that there's not too much going on in your life at any given time so that you're not being pulled in too many directions. Okay, moving on to wealth, resources, life purpose, and career. You received conscious connections. So this is saying that you really want to pay attention to who you're spending your time with and what you're spending your time on, and also be aware of who is approaching you. So when it comes to business, there could be a better way to spend your time and energy. And you could open this up by creating new and beneficial habits in your life. So again, the 4 of Wands is like creating a storefront and putting the open sign on. It's getting everything ready, putting all the merchandise in, and then saying open for business. And this open for business could be new friendship, new commerce, new love. But you first have to do the work to set the stage or the storefront. So being conscious about what you're putting your time and energy into and who you're spending time with, that's going to help you make those better connections. And it's also sending, instead of the open sign, it can also send something like boundaries or self-confidence, self-worth, other sort of like neon signs in your energy are going out because of the way that you are conducting yourself. So that's going to help you in business. All right, now let's focus on other messages here. Some of you may feel burned out. It's okay to feel burned out, but it's not okay to continue pushing yourself if that happens. In that case, rest is necessary. Some of you are ready, you're not getting enough. If you are working, 2 or 3 people's jobs or ridiculous amount of hours, then it's taking a toll and you have to figure out where something has to give, right? Either you have to make do with less, or you need more help or more resources. Someone else has to pull a little bit more weight. Something else has to happen. It's not coming through as you needing to do more. And if anything, you need to pull back and get more for doing less. And let's think of it this way. It's about working smarter. The more years of experience that you have, typically we make more through our lives because, I mentioned the gray hairs here, because wisdom usually means that you can make better decisions in less time with more accuracy than someone who has had fewer years of experience. Not always, but generally speaking, because if I do this, this will happen. If I do that, that will happen. Years of life on this planet do help you. That's typically why, mid-aged drivers tend to have lower insurance because they've had a little bit more experience. Younger and older, it changes a bit because of health and experience, but there are certain times where it's just sort of like that sweet spot. You're coming through with the sweet spot of experience and value, so make sure that you're getting rewarded for that perfect match of everything, okay? And it might be time to network a little bit more if you're not getting sort of like celebrated where you're at, because this and this tells me that this secret ally could come through and help you to a higher ground, okay? So if you want to stay put, for those of you that are working, for instance, then there needs to be more support. And if you can't get the support, it might be time to walk. For those that are already 1 foot out the door, perfect. It looks like there's something better on the horizon. For those that are retired, there's a little bit more opportunity now to have some fun, be your own boss, and you're possibly just gonna have to look at not trying to do everything all at once. That's what I would say. This month, it's about spanning things out, not trying to kind of like blow through all of the resources, time, or energy at once. Try to make it last. That's what I'm getting with this, okay? And that's everything for wealth. I would say for many of you, we've got two of the bossiest cards here. It almost feels like if you can't be the boss, you need to at least be at a place where people trust you enough to not tell you constantly how to do things or second guess all of your actions, okay? And that's pretty much it here. But if you are conscious about what you're doing as far as creating new connections or planting new seeds, then you have a chance to really see some growth and movement in your life, okay? Let's move on to love and relationships. I love what we got here. We have the unicorn coming through. It says infinite possibilities. So I'm going to take these lines one by one. First of all, the unicorn in and of itself is saying that you don't have to conform to preconceived ideas. The fact that you are sort of like your own person, you're different, you aren't, you're just not conforming. That's where your power is, all right? Now let's take it line by line. You're the sovereign of the seen and unseen worlds. You're the sovereign, you're in control, you're the king of wands, right? Okay. The magic of love surrounds you. You have to feel lovable in order to be loved. Beauty transforms you. Beauty is subjective. If you love yourself, if you have confidence, if you smile, if there's beauty can actually also come out in different ways. Have you ever noticed the more time you spend with certain people, their beauty, their attractive qualities can wax or wane. Someone who is beautiful but isn't very pleasant becomes less beautiful. Someone who's not conventionally as attractive as that person, but is kind, is funny, is smart, they're suddenly hot. So all of a sudden, different qualities can come in and make you appreciate yourself and others in a different light. Look at the full package there. Listen to the spirits of light, abandon the darkness, go beyond ordinary, and become legendary. I love all of those things. So I think that will help you. Leaning into who you are and looking beyond the surface, because again, conventional looks, they're not going to be around forever, folks, anyway. So look beyond that, look at what's beneath the surface. That's what's going to stick around. All right, let's look at this in 3 different levels. Those in an existing relationship, those that are single and looking, and those that are happily single. If you're in a present relationship, there's actually a great chance to overcome adversity or challenge. The near future and the outcome are pretty good. This is basically you being able to reclaim power, and now we see both of you getting a little closer to 50-50. It's not quite there yet with this 60-40, but very close. I can see the partners doing work. Here's the problem. Some of you have had issues in the past where you've been hurt and you're afraid to be hurt again, but it's not going to happen. This is a different 10 of swords. There could be a breakdown in communication sometimes where you're pointing a finger or saying something that feels good in the moment but isn't really constructive. So let's avoid that. This is in a possibility space, so it's not something that necessarily has to come up. The biggest challenge, I think, in existing relationships is just a lack of ongoing communication. Maybe for fear of arguing or saying the wrong thing, but saying nothing is also not the answer. So we have the 2 extremes. If we could get in the middle of this, that would be best. So knowing just how much to say and knowing when to get out. A Queen of Swords in the upright position. She's to the point, but she's not rude. And I think that would help you out here. All right, let's see what else we're looking at here in existing relationships. Some of you are working too much and it's having health effects. Some of your partners wish that they could see you more or vice versa. So communication is key on that, and then having proper balance. I do like that. This is why I think you can, if you want to, you can get through anything this month, because we have friendship right where your headspace is. So as long as you remember that hopefully you're with your best friend, you can sort this out. Also, this is a time to lean on your expanded network. So if things are challenging with your immediate family, then this is when you lean into your friends and say, hey, I need some advice. How would you handle this? They are there. They are the allies in disguise, or maybe not even in disguise, but just not tapped into so much. Some of us have a hard time asking. We give, but we don't ask. This is your turn, Leo, to ask. And that's what I see here. It's manageable, but the communication piece is the thing that will make it or break it. We can't argue, but we can't have silence. There has to be something in between. And it might be a month where you guys are so similar, the partnership that's showing up here, that you might need someone in the middle, a therapist or a friend to kind of help bridge the gap. Okay, if you're looking for love this month, yeah, you can find it. Absolutely. You're coming through really strong, and you're bringing in someone who's just as strong as you. I would say the only challenge this month is, do you have the energy? This is really, really hard work, and whatever you've tried to finish up here, and this is fatigue and a need for a vacation. I would say the best way to meet someone could be by taking a vacation, taking some time off, doing something for yourself. Going to the beach, the museum, or whatever. You don't actually have to leave your state, country, or province. You could do something local and just have some fun, reading a book out by the park or something like that. So downtime is key. The person you're pulling in is very close to you. I think the one thing that you can work on this month to help, there's two things. It's just not trying to prove or be everything to everyone. So just better boundaries. And then also knowing when it's best to walk away. Sometimes people don't want to listen to you or don't want to take good advice, and we don't have to make them a facsimile of us. They can take it or leave it. This month, knowing when to sort of like fight the fight or when to walk away is going to be really beneficial. So yes, you can find love, but I think there's some balance issues in your life, time, energy, money, that need to be attended to. There's some health issues as well. And then just focusing on your own sort of feeling of, I've got this, with or without someone, will bring in a higher energy. If you're single and happy, it's a good time to be single and happy. I think taking a vacation, a break, or doing more for yourself, that's what's coming through. For everybody, that's going to look different, but recharge, that's the focus this month. And I do see major growth when it comes to your professional and personal network and your money. So it's a good time to be single if you want to be single. Let's transition now to the destiny message here. We have the miracle of forgiveness. Thank you for helping me understand the process. And it really is a process of forgiveness here. And one of the things that I would kind of impart from this card is maybe focus the lens more on looking at choices in your own life where you might be beating yourself up. Because when we look at hopes, fears, and opportunities, sometimes it's this feeling of, if I just have done something different, if I would have just walked away. Well, now you know, and now you'll choose differently. And that's all we can ever really hope to do in our lives, is to learn, to expand, and to grow. So begin by loving and forgiving yourself. And then think about the attachment that you have to not forgiving someone for something. And when we look at this Two of Pentacles, is it worth holding on to the anger or the energy of it? If you can release the hold that you have or that someone else has on you, then you start to free yourself up to that process. One of the things that I used in my own path was indifference. So I thought to myself, and appreciation. So we looked at this here, the ally in disguise, okay? So discover the hard to find blessing. If I look back at my life, at people that really annoyed me to the point that I had to move on, particularly like when I look at career path, to me at the time they were antagonists, but in the sort of like rear view mirror, I see them as necessary, I would say co-stars that were helping me get into something better. So they came through so that I felt a sense of discord and discomfort, and they helped propel me out of a situation that wasn't great. So do I still feel emotions about how that was? Yes. But can I see it now with appreciation and gratitude? Yes. Has that helped me forgive some of them, if not all? Yes. Am I working on a few? Sure. But mostly I see myself in a place of gratitude. I'm so glad I'm not there anymore. I'm so glad I don't have to connect with that person. And on many levels, I'm happy that they helped me see that wasn't where I needed to be. That's a level of forgiveness. And eventually I can just say, I forgive you and I release you. And in doing so, I free myself. I free myself to spend my time and energy on someone more deserving. Whether it's focusing on yourself and personal development or someone else that loves you in return. Don't put your energy into someone that wants agitation. A good way to kind of get someone to stop treating you that way is to starve them of that energy. Put the energy back internally or again on someone that reciprocates in kind with love. All right. That would be my advice on forgiveness. There's better uses of your energy than to hold on to something from the past. Indifference And gratitude will help you in that a little bit. Like, it's just not worth it, or that person isn't as significant anymore. I say indifference in the best way, just understanding that they don't play a role in your current incarnation. And ultimately, when we're just looking at the whole destiny thing, it is about accomplishing a better balance and pulling in higher caliber energies, just like the dragonfly that we talked about at the beginning. And I said there might be a big emotional piece this month. So we see some highs and lows, and we see not going to the same extremes as before. So you've already learned to rise up, which is great. Let's go ahead now and take a closer look at the sun, rising, and moon sign messages for the sign of Leo and see what's in store. Sun, rising, and moon. Looking at the energy of the sun sign, we have the beautiful Seven of Pentacles. It is reversed, but it is a card of growth, repair, expansion. We see a beautiful fresh plant start here that is just starting to get its root system established. And so for many of you, you may feel like this illustration where you're transplanted into something new, and give yourself time. Growth and expansion doesn't happen overnight, right? So if you just started a new job, a new relationship, or you just started to work on something in your life new, maybe it's exercise too or something like that, it takes time to see progress. You don't want to push yourself too far too fast. That can lead to an injury. You don't want to extend yourself beyond your limits. That can get you back into the energy of the Two of Pentacles at the center. So slow, deliberate, patient sort of approach towards things is what's going to be favorable. And this is just a nod to the progress, the eventual progress that you're making. So stay diligent, be patient, and we see good things on the horizon. Moving from sun to the rising and ascendant, the beautiful Magician card here. You are in the process of opening up some new doors and opportunities. They may not be right in front of you right now. I talked about setting the stage for the Four of Wands. So that old movie from the 80s, I think, Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. That's kind of like Magician and Four of Wands in reverse. You're doing everything necessary to make something magical and impactful happen, but you have to give it time. You have to get, just like we saw here, time to grow. So there is a patience piece that continues to come through here. The Magician reversed also needs to stay focused. So it is about doing far less than you used to, but much more effectively and with more intention. And if you can stay focused and believe in yourself, the Magician reversed sometimes has doubt. So belief, focus, and patience is what this particular card is bringing through for the rising and ascendant. This hits the area of work and school and public circles. So you have the ability to kind of blend in and do whatever you need to do, but you have to believe in your own capacity for others too as well. And that's important, by the way, just as a quick side note. If you are trying to sit at the negotiation table, you really have to believe in that, okay? Otherwise, people are going to hear what you're asking for and think, well, why should I give you that if you don't feel it, right? Let's move on to moon sign messages. This is basically full circle to what I talked about at the beginning. In the waiting room, you're going to ask yourself, am I done with this? Why am I still here? Why am I still connected? In the waiting space, this liminal space, you also get clarity. We can see her connecting with a basically symbol of the runes, which is the secret of the universe. But she's starting to see how everything's put together. So don't rush to make any vital decision. Give yourself an extra few minutes, few hours, few days, and make sure that you've really looked at everything from every angle. And that's the other thing. I love that this is kind of like she's hanging from a silk sort of tapestry here. So this is also just about saying, you know what, I want to just see it from this angle or explore that avenue. And the Hanged Man can simply be that. Turning something on its side, turning something inside out, and seeing, again, the blessing in disguise here, or the ally in disguise. Beautiful messages for all of you. All right, we have one more card that we're going to look at here. This is your final question and final card. So is there anything that you still have a question on that I haven't yet had a chance to look at? Hold that, meditate on that. Let me pull a card. Let's see what the universe has to say. You receive the Nine of Swords in reverse, which is saying you have nothing to fear, or simply don't focus on the fears, focus on the possibilities. This card, interestingly enough, is nicely partnered with what we got in your environment, which was rest. If you can rest and heal yourself, then you can, just like this beautiful bird here in the corner, you can rise above, you can elevate, and you can see to tomorrow as a brand new day. Here's what happens with the Nine of Swords. It's typically a nighttime card. We can see the bed frame behind her, the pillow, and this can represent fears or anxieties that keep you awake. So one thing that is coming through loud and clear from Spirit is, let's put this old thing to rest, this old chapter, this old relationship, this old job experience or whatever. Let's focus instead on what tomorrow may bring. Remembering that you've gotten so many cards that are showing balance and for many of you, the ability to overcome or completely bypass some of those potential pitfalls. Give yourself more credit and know that it's going to be better than you expect, because the Nine of Swords in reverse is better than expected. As a yes or no, I feel like it's necessary to pause and get clarity and to remove the emotions, any heavy emotions that might be attached to something, before stepping forth. So this isn't a full stop no. It's just saying sort out the emotional piece first, then move. And assume that you have what it takes to make this happen better, with more ease and with more joy than you might be anticipating. Some of you simply do need more rest. You may be dealing with a lot of stress in your life, and if you are, it's going to be important to find an outlet, whether it is artistic or exercise or therapy. That's up to you, but we need to kind of get that piece sorted first, okay? And if you are looking at a path that reduces your stress, this is a yes. That's where there would be a yes, because this is saying no more fear, no more stress. And if there's anything in your life that's creating that simply for the sake of being stressful, then kind of like I was talking about in my own life, where something happened just to kind of get you on a better path, this could be that as well. I hope you enjoyed today's reading. This brings it to a close for today. Just a couple of quick notes before we wrap up. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. It's a great way in real time to let me know that this video made a difference. You can also show some support for the channel by subscribing if you haven't done so. It's absolutely free, but it will basically let you know when I post new videos. To make sure that you see all new videos, click on the bell and say all. That way you will receive all notifications. Another way to keep in touch is through social media, at Nicholas Ashbaugh on all the platforms you see here. You can always go to my website or the main channel page here on my YouTube channel for all of those links. Remember, I do not offer private readings, and I will not message you asking for anything or demanding anything. There's a lot of imposters out there, so be mindful of that. Always keep it safe and report anybody that you see doing that. It's always optional to show support. You can do it by clicking thanks here on one of my monthly videos, or if you tune in for a live stream, you can do super chat and super stickers. Memberships are also here as a way to give back and stay connected to this community. I drop new videos every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. I do a live stream every Sunday, and I do daily card reads as well. So check out my main channel page for more information. Thank you again for spending some time with me. I know you have a lot of choices here on YouTube. It's my honor to be here and to help you out with all of this. Take care. I hope to see you around the channel. And in the meantime, wishing you all the best. Bye-bye.